what you're seeing right now with the whole the Muslims need to assimilate to our culture is the exact same language, the exact same mentality that was being used when blacks were being gained full rights and,
Yeah.
being integrated in schools and everything. They needed to assimilate to what white people wanted. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Patriots Table. Gonna hit a few things today, got a lot of things to talk about. Starting off, really want to touch. We've got some interesting comments the past couple weeks on our different social media channels, especially when it comes to the Israel stuff. And one of the things that we were told was we need to change the name of our podcast, Ravi, because our stance is not we're not patriots. We can't be patriots if we're not going with what everything that Trump says, everything that the neocons say, and everything. So just the Patriots table is very deceiving to people.
So what are we supposed to call it? The non-patriots too?
The non-patri the progressive left's table have been called that. Like, I mean, there's numerous different things we could go about with it, but I do think people need to understand that there's a big difference between patriotism and nationalism, and what the difference is with that. And I think it's there to give people, play devil's advocate with some of it. I mean, it's a very blurry line between the two in some situations. Like it can be easily a place of nationalism can actually feel like patriotism in certain situations. But I mean, the two core beliefs between the two. I mean, patriotism, the core belief of patriotism is just love and devotion to one's country and its people. I mean that's the core belief of patriotism. And then nationalism is a belief in the supremacy and superiority of your nation. So I think one is inward and the other word is outward, right? To put it simply, patriotism is something you're looking inward. Nationalism is how your belief over everybody else. And
Yeah. So I mean, just to back up, one step, I just wanted to, in my mind, understand like what to me. I mean, like this is two sides of a coin, basically. Uh, and people, this is why it's so confusing to people, and they use it interchangeably because they're holding the coin in their hand, and whichever side they look at, I mean, it looks kind of the same, right? So it's not though. I mean, you're absolutely right when you say that patriotism is your love for your country, and it's a subjective feeling, right? Like you love the countries, like the sports teams, you love the president, you love what is, like everything doesn't mean necessarily that you have to agree with everything everybody's saying. That's not what it means. But when you go to the opposite side of the coin, I mean, that's very objective. Now you're feeling like this is the whole thing. I mean, I think the bigger problem is like I didn't grow up here, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think from a very young age we are being told that we are the greatest nation on the earth, right?
yep,
So Americans are told that the people, this is the greatest country on earth. And I think I saw, I mean, I forget what the program was, but this was actually I wish we could find this and play. It was a 3 minute clip of like a radio show, like a TV show, where somebody, like a college student asked the panel, it was a panel discussion, and, like, she wanted to know, like, why America is the greatest nation on the earth. And that guy, just ripped her apart because he came up with everything that showed that what we used to call greatest things that we did, we don't do anymore, right? I mean, like, you don't become the greatest nation on the earth by going and bombing people, who are, in a boat somewhere claiming that they're narco terrorists, or bombing a country saying they're going to build nuclear weapons in the future, so we got to bomb them now. That is not being great. Okay, so this is what people, the nationalists, think that that's what great is being, because it's a subjective thing for them, right? So this is the problem, I think, because people don't really understand or haven't been taught what being great is. I mean, to me, I mean,
Right.
where I'm coming from, the greatest nation on earth, has a population that lives, happy and contented. I mean, there's like, we have great things to, show the world that we create, we invent, we innovate. I mean, we have people who others around the world will look up to, and, we are like the example to the
Right.
world. That's greatest, right now. I mean, like, this country does not have a lot of things. Even, if you take it educational wise, like economy is, like it's the biggest, of course, but it's not technically being the greatest at all. I mean, there's plenty of people who think that in the next 50 years, there's many other countries that are going to overtake us in our economy as well. And then we have a few firsts. I mean, like we incarcerate the most number of people, of their citizens. I mean, we are number one in that. We have the first, in child mortality in the developed world. So, I mean, like these are not things that make anything great.
Nothing to brag about.
Nothing to brag about. And, and patriotism also can be a double-edged sword. I'll be the first to tell you that because I saw that double-edged sword in 2001 when 9/11 happened. There, I mean, like nationalism and patriotism was completely mixed together. And we just, became so confused and like angry and everything. And then, it's again as it is a double, like a two sides of a coin. It can be a double-edged sword as well. You can become patriotic to a point where it now becomes not patriotism but it's nationalism, and now you are, causing division in the country. You're causing hate against certain people. I mean, you think that you guys are superior, so you can go out and like just do whatever you want, and that's fine because that's what patriots do. Stuff like that. I mean, you can do you see what I'm talking about, Trey? I mean, this is the kind of thing that when I realized that, okay, wait a minute, and you're absolutely right, that people here do not know that subtle difference. And we see this a lot right now. I mean, like all the way from immigration to, different, how we treat and talk about different cultures, different religions, everything, right? I mean, now we are using that same yardstick, the nationalistic yardstick, to think that we are far superior. I mean, like, and this again comes from the fact that we are taught this. I mean, we are told that this is, was created as a Christian nation, so now we all look down upon every other, person who has a belief system or does not have any belief system, right? So now because we think we're superior because it's a Christian nation, and now, you know, greatest country on earth, Christian nation. We don't want foreigners here. And I mean, you can see, like, there's congressmen who are bringing up, I mean, these guys from Ohio, uh, to take away, people's citizenship. All this stuff comes from the fact that we don't know the difference between the two. And that's not being patriotic. So if somebody saw a podcast and came up here and said that, we're not supporting what somebody is doing. I mean, be it the president, it can be anybody, and we don't support what's going on right now, and that's not being patriotic. I call it total BS because real patriots would speak out.
Right.
Okay,
And that's
because
the big thing between that I think we're seeing today needs to change and needs called out because to me patriotism, you hold your country to a standard because you love
uh
your country. And what I'm seeing are people is a vast amount of people actually excusing bad things happening because it quote unquote makes us look bad and calling that patriotism. Patriotism isn't ignoring something not good. It's calling out something that's not good and saying we're better than this. If we're funding a genocide, if we're, shelling billions of dollars to another country for that's not benefiting us, whether that be Ukraine, Venezuela, if we have internal problems, if we're, just it's no different. It's calling out that we had an immigration problem or have had one for years and years was not anti-American and anti-patriotic. It was a real problem that we had, so people are
Right.
calling it out. That's, to me, that's a sense of patriotism. Hey, we have a problem. We need to fix this within our country. But ignoring stuff just because it might make your side look bad, that's not patriotism. And then furthermore, when you have something going on, and we're seeing this a lot right now with Muslims and people of the Islamic faith in our country saying they need to get out of here, to get deported. I mean, I see some pretty horrific stuff going around the internet calling for some, like, some of this, like, you're calling against stuff against Americans too. Like, it's a very nationalist, we're just superior to you. Not even, and I think it goes beyond nationalism, because they're saying this is just against the religion and in a group of an ethnic group of people, period. So you have a lot of people that are blurring the line between what patriotism and nationalism is, and then furthermore mistaking ignoring a problem or calling out a problem as being anti-patriotic. I don't think us saying we're not happy with what's going on with Israel and the Gaza situation and the U.S. involvement and funding of what's going on over there is anti-patriotic. I say it's saying, hey, actually, what we claim to be, what we claim to stand for, we're better than this. And to me, that's showing more patriotism than turning a blind eye to it and just going along with it for the sake of we don't want to look bad, or even worse, some really sketchy religious reasons.
Think as long as you show pride in your country, which I think, nobody can say that, we're not proud of our country, and you're doing things that makes the country a better place, right? I mean, that's the basis of what patriotism is. It's not an ideology like nationalism, and it's not a political or ideological movement. That's basically the bottom line. I mean, like, we don't care who it is. We're going to call it out if we see something that's wrong. That doesn't mean that we're not patriotic, right? We don't consider we shouldn't consider our country as some superior, entry country that is, cannot be touched by, we saw that that's complete nonsense, when 9/11 happened. I mean, this is the reason. I think primarily when it happened, I mean, I was actually, I just moved a couple of years ago to Ohio when 9/11 occurred. And I came from a country where we fought, this kind of stuff, suicide bombers and terrorists for many, many decades. And when I came here, I mean, like, people had no idea. Like, they all really lived in this bubble that nothing and nobody could touch them. And that was proven to be wrong, uh, clearly on that day, which is unfortunately the way we learned it. And, and then it got worse from that point onwards because, the way it was pushed on people that in order for you to be patriotic, you have to be with whatever the government was saying and doing. And if not, you were with the perpetrators. I mean, that's total nonsense. I mean, like,
Right.
if we had not believed that, I believe that we would have been in a much better place today as far as not giving the government, such a blank check to do everything that they did that was wrong, which we figured out, a decade later or even 2 decades later. The spying, the invasion of privacy, all the things that they took, you know, control and advantage of because the people just thought that it was being patriotic to give out, that free blank check to them. This is something that would never happen, I guess, in a place where if they knew that they were not, there was no nationalistic type thinking. And that's an important thing for people to realize. And, we haven't learned from that lesson still. We continue to do that. We continue to do the same thing and give the same, we're giving away the power of the people, the power the people have over for a little exchange of a promise of things from the government. And then if you speak up against it, they call you unpatriotic. And this is, it's coming from the same people. You have to look at it, carefully understand that it's coming from the same people. So they're using this playbook, and people are falling for it time and time again.
And there's a couple points here. So we talked about the core belief of patriotism and nationalism. There's a few other categories to compare with these. There's the how you view your country, and with patriotism, you have essentially you acknowledge that your country has flaws but is worth improving, and with nationalism, you hear you're always right no matter what it
Uh,
does, everything's good, and it's which again, seeing a lot of that right now, especially coming from the right. You
yeah,
have a lot of the neocon, old school Republican stuff, and I'm gonna kind of leave a lot of the the MAGA movement out of that comment
yeah,
because I will say there's a lot of people who are not like that. There's like the reason we had the MAGA movement was because hey, there's a lot of problems. So I'll leave the
yeah.
MAGA movement out of this. I'm talking to people like Lindsey Graham, you know. Uh, how even say Ted Cruz and stuff. These people who I would say the neocon war machine people, the Republicans that have infiltrated the MAGA movement is what I'm pointing to with that one. Um,
I would
Another
go
one here
as
is
far as even to say the hardliner MAGA movement is not exempt either. I mean, like, the hardliners there are part of the problem,
mm,
because, and this is, and the Trump is like part of the reason why that is the case, because this is the kind of, ego driven mentality that appeals to the people. I mean, this is one of the I saw this article like before 2016, before his first term. There was a really good article written by some I forget who it was, but it was like why Trump was the best choice for America. And it was like I have to dig that up again somewhere, and I have to post it because it was actually really well written. Uh, and it kind of outlined the reasons why he appealed to the people of this country. And that's not because of a strictly patriotic standpoint. It was more of a mix of patriotism and nationalism that he promoted. Okay. And this is, so we cannot exclude, part of the hardliners in the MAGA movement because they are part of this nationalistic movement that is taking hold of this country and, pushing and promoting and supporting things that are going to actually work against us in the long run, especially in the areas of immigration. That's things that are going around about different cultures, religions, and the people who have been in this country long enough and have actually helped the country become what it is today. That is the foundation of being a patriot. I mean, I've been here 39 years. I mean, you cannot tell me that just because I'm speaking out against some of the nonsense that's going on now that I'm not a patriot for this country because I work really hard to make this a better place. I mean, I worked in healthcare. I mean, like all these areas that I worked in, I mean, it was for the people of this country to make their lives better. So if anybody tells me, to my face that, I'm a less of a patriot than they are, they're going to hear something that they're not going to like. And again, I mean, patriotism is not just, it's not something that is only for here. Every other country you go to, there are people who are patriotic towards their own country. I mean, go to any country in Europe. I mean, go to Asia, go to
right.
South America, go anywhere. I mean,
Hmm.
people are patriotic about their country, but they don't have any of these other things that go, like supposedly should go, that we are being told should go along with it. And one of the things that really pisses me off from the nationalistic standpoint is the fact that, they want, if you're not American, then go back to where you come from. I hear this a lot. And I'm
It's
like,
so common now. It's
that
like
yeah, that
rampant.
is such a dumb, idiotic, and stupid thing to say to somebody who is a citizen of this country, who left their country and came here to make this a better place. So shut the hell up. I'm going nowhere. And I will tell you on this show, I mean, like, you cannot take my birthright away. I mean, I was born in Sri Lanka. I have Sri Lankan citizenship. That's my birthright. I became a U.S. citizen, many years ago, because I love this country as well. And you cannot take that away from me. But just because I look different, I have different, I have two values there. I mean, I love my birthright country as well. Okay, I mean, there's culture there that you guys could never aspire to. I mean, as a country with 250 years of history versus another country that has a 3,000-year history, you're never going to catch up. And I have that, I cannot just give that up because just because you think that I should give it up because that's not being patriotic. So this whole thing with this sort of, and the people who are Bernie Moreno, I'm gonna, I will be more than happy to sit with him and explain to him why his idea is so dumb because he came from Colombia. All right. So just because you gave up your Colombian citizenship and you probably, I don't know for what reason that he cannot go back there or he doesn't want it. That's your choice. You cannot
Hmm.
come up from another country, become a U.S. citizen, and then tell everybody else you got to give up your citizenship. Now, I will say this: I am not opposed to certain people, like being dual citizens, not being able to do things, in areas where there is, some level of like secrecy or whatever. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can carve those areas out. I don't care because I'm never going to. If you tell me like you cannot go work in the FBI because you have to, that's fine with me. Okay, because now you're going to have a conflict of interest because if I mean USA is never going to go to war with where I came from, but there could be a situation where that can happen. Okay, and even if you want to state limitations of politics or you cannot become president, whatever, I don't care. I mean, I cannot become president because you have to be American born for that to happen. Those are fine. I mean, I think we can all agree that those things could be fine. But forcing someone to give up their birthright just because you don't think that that having that second citizenship is a violation of your patriotic feelings, that's not patriotism. I mean, you can take that and put it in a dark place where you can never find it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and there's a couple other points there. So, relationship with other nations. Patriotism, it doesn't require any type of hatred of another nation to be patriotic.
You don't have to,
With
yeah.
Yeah, with nationalism, you view other nations as inferior and seeks to put
Yep.
your nation first, and often that's at the expense of others. You have to put others down to, you know, put yourself up. It's step on everybody else's head to climb to the top, right? And then
Right.
another big point is criticism. Patriotism, you tolerate criticism as a way to improve your country, and that's just that doesn't even have to be patriot. That doesn't even have to be a patriotism thing. That should just be a life thing, right?
Right.
Take criticism and improve your life. Improve who you are as a person. Criticism, healthy criticism, is a good thing. But with nationalism, criticism, is considered to be a betrayal or an insult, which we're seeing that really rampant right now.
Right.
How dare you speak against it? You're making him look bad, or you're making Trump look bad. You're setting it up for the left to take over, or you're making us look weak here. It's all about it. It's like a dog and pony show. Don't criticize America. Don't criticize our country. Don't criticize the Republican Party or MAGA or anything else. That's not patriotism, guys. That's nationalism. And then the one of the primary focuses of patriotism is unity through shared values and a desire for a common good. And that includes other cultures. That includes other ethnic identities. That also includes other religions. It is not set to a specific race, religion, or a specific group. Nationalism, and this is where you see a lot of stuff that you saw with the Nazi Germany and just the Nazi party as a whole, their unity was through a shared cultural or ethnic identity, and it was leading to the exclusion of others because
Uh-huh.
they were inferior. Because where I mean that's where you had their special unit, whereas blonde hair, blue eyes. You had to be this elite bloodline for to be in that. It's like that's what this nationalism is. And what do we hear a lot coming from the far right in this country right now?
Uh-huh.
It's they need to assimilate to our way of life. You have to live like and believe and dress and think like we think in order to be accepted in the into this country. That's bullshit. That is
Yeah.
not patriotism. That's
Yeah.
un-American. I don't care. You want to talk to people, and if I hear one more person say this country was founded on uh, Judeo-Christian values, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. This is what I
The,
mentioned
the,
at the
the,
beginning, right? So this is why, like this is what we are fed, from a very young age. I mean, this is what the church tells you. I mean, like, so your religious institutions, your government, your education, public education system, they all contribute to this. And you touched on a point about assimilation. So I mean, like, this is something that I see a lot too, and I have argued about this with people on social media. Uh, so so their idea of assimilation is that you basically give up everything that you have. It doesn't matter if your culture is 3,000 years old. You have to speak the language. You have to assimilate into all areas of your culture. So let me back it up a little bit and explain to people what you are not understanding. I come from a thousand culture that has thousands of years of history behind it. All right, so that's separate. I mean, assimilation to some degree, I will say, in order to make your life easier and the lives of others around you, there are certain things that you probably should strive to. Now, do everybody, I mean, does everybody who come into this country try it? Probably not. Okay, but you cannot force people to do that. Language is one thing, and the problem is not the people. It's the problem is like the people who live here. I mean, you guys speak one language. Many people who come from foreign countries speak more than one. Okay, you cannot tell these people like, oh, you can't speak your language. You got to speak. I mean, if I'm in a group of people that speak my language, I am more inclined to speak that language. That shouldn't bother you. Okay, because that's that person's culture. That's person. I mean, you should admire that and
yeah,
learn a language if you want to. And I think if you're an American right now listening to this, learning Spanish might be a good idea. You're gonna need it, okay? Because the world is global. I mean, I don't care if people chase everybody from South America back to where they came from. Spanish is going to be still needed to communicate with people if they don't want to learn English. You can't force that on people. Now, should they learn English? Yeah, probably because it makes their life easier. But I came from a country where we spoke three languages, okay? And everything in that in the public sector and the government sector was in three languages. We didn't tell people, okay, this is Sri Lanka, we speak Sinhalese, you go learn Sinhalese or don't come live here. That's not how it works. And that doesn't mean that those people were not patriotic either. I mean, they
right.
were Sri Lankans, but they spoke a different language. And people don't get it here. Like it's to them, if you're a Muslim or if you speak Arabic or if you speak Spanish or if you're from South America, I mean, like you don't belong here. That's seriously stupid, and it's this nationalistic behavior
It's
that you're
it's
talking
it's
about.
narrow-minded and
It's very
ignorance
narrow-minded.
because I mean I saw a stupid meme just the other day. It's like, "Well, I want to deport so many people that I never have to press one for English
Oh, I know.
again."
I saw that too.
Like
Yeah,
like
yeah,
what? What? I, this this country at this point, this country is where it is now and as successful as it's been because of the cultural melting pot that has gone on and the
yeah,
different
yeah.
and the different cultures from, whether it be Italians, whether it be Scottish,
Uh-huh.
whatever it is, Asians, Middle East, like it's all a melting pot and it's all a beautiful thing. What you're seeing right now with the whole the Muslims need to assimilate to our culture is the exact same language, the exact same mentality that was being used when blacks were being introduced
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
gain full rights and,
Yeah.
being integrated in schools and everything. They needed to assimilate to what white people wanted. And then you had a similar thing even after like World War II with Asians in this country as well,
Yeah.
where they
Yeah.
were getting treated like horribly, and they had to assimilate. And now nobody's going around saying that, oh, all these Asian people are ruining our country and they need to be more like our
Uh-huh.
Judeo-Christian American values, or the same with black people for that matter. Nobody's talking about that anymore.
Yeah.
That's in the past. They're Americans. They're part of our culture now, and I really think you're going to see the same thing with Muslims as well,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
people from and just the Middle Eastern ethnic group that's coming over here because they're going to bring something to America, and it's going to be integrated into what America is, because that's one of the things that does make America so great is you can take so many different cultures, so many different beliefs, and integrate it into one thing,
Uh-huh.
which is people have God-given rights, and
Right.
they should have the freedom to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and freedom of religion, and all these things that we think that makes America great, they can have access to. That's the
That's the
great thing
other
about it.
that yeah, you make a great point. That's the other funny thing I don't understand. Like, I mean, so these are like the the rights of the people who come into America and become citizens of America or permanent residents or whatever, right? They don't seem to, I mean, they're still threatened by this. I mean, it's a fact that they think that non-native born people are a threat to their traditions. That blows my mind because nowhere
Yeah.
else in the world where people, that I have been to, where people think that. I mean, like, you are either a tour, you come and live there, do your thing. I mean, you get the same rights. I mean, they don't think that you're going to come over and, take over your traditions or whatever. I mean, if you take the foreign born population in this country, I mean, they actually celebrate the US traditions more. In fact, they embrace it. I mean, have you ever been to people go over to a July 4th, parade
Hmm.
or whatever. I mean, take a look around. I mean, there's a lot of people who
Right.
actually embrace and
And
value
they're
those
not all
traditions.
white. They're not all white.
They're not all white, right?
It's
I
pretty
mean,
diverse.
and vice the opposite happens too. I mean, like you go to like these Asian lantern festivals or whatever. I mean, that's a cultural thing for the Asians. People do go there and enjoy. So there is a large percentage of people who are not thinking this way and they don't
Mhm.
mind it. But there is a part of the population that fuels this nationalistic, pseudo national, pride, and the fact that they're afraid of people coming in and taking over what they believe is theirs, which is not what is happening. I mean, people are coming over here to embrace what is ours. At least that's
Right.
from where I am. That's what I see. I mean, like I love the things about this country, and I celebrate their holidays. I mean, like all of that. I mean, I never experienced. I didn't even know what Thanksgiving was. I mean, Christmas we knew because we have my country is a multi-religious, multi-ethnic country. So my father was a Christian, so we celebrated Christmas, but that's about it. I mean, I had no idea of Thanksgiving until I came here, right?
Uh, isn't that the irony of Thanksgiving? We have white
Yeah.
colonial settlers
Mm.
that set aside their differences with the indigenous population. Let's have dinner together, and we're going to be like, oh, Thanksgiving, and then the very next day, well, let's go right back to the memes of kicking the Muslims out of here because we can't
Right.
stand them, and
Exactly. Yeah.
they're going
Yeah.
to do to us what we did to the indigenous population. Like that's the
It's absolutely
fear.
insanity. And I mean, like, and to be honest, I mean, like, I think the fuel to the fire is added by media propaganda, right? I mean, like, so yeah, there may be instances where some of these people look, I mean, like, not everybody who comes into this country or goes out of this country is a good person. I mean, there's always bad people. There's always evil people who do bad things anywhere you go. That shouldn't mean that you basically write off an entire culture or entire belief system, out as like not being welcome here because that's what they do. I mean, I hear this from people all the time, like, oh, we know what Muslims do. I mean, like, they act like they're all terrorists. I mean, how many Muslim countries have you guys visited to see this
Well,
for your own eyes? I mean,
and there have been millions of Muslims in America for a while
a
now.
long time. They've been
A
all
long
over the
time. Like
world.
where's the proof of this? There isn't a lot. There isn't any. I'll go. There, nobody can find it. It's not happening.
Right.
This is fear mongering that is
Hungering.
being
Yeah.
pushed on people. I mean, you literally saw this with the recent incident with the two National Guard people that were killed in D.C.
Uh-huh.
by an Afghani. He was an Afghani national, but they're painting it as, oh, look, they're doing it, like they were right to jump on the racial and ethnic hate of this and
Yeah.
use this to fuel this. But later it comes out that this guy worked closely with the U.S. military in Afghanistan for over 15 years and worked with the CIA.
Right.
Like it's like, okay, really?
So yeah,
Like,
nobody
is this
talks
a
about that,
psyop? Is
right?
this another one of those things that we? It's crazy. Anything like this happens, and it just, you can throw a one of the three-letter organizations is involved in it. Like, are we going to
Yeah.
get transparency with this and what was really going on with this? Probably not. So now we're going to have nothing but conspiracy theories going out there because we're not getting told what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's really crazy. What's one of the sayings? Never let a crisis go to
Yeah.
waste.
Good crisis go to waste. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, somebody from the Middle East shot a couple service members, which is a tragedy. It's sad. Like, it's horrible that even happened. But like, why do we have to use it just to fuel some racial nationalist hate agenda? Be because of what's going on. That's not helping anything. That didn't get to the bottom. That's obviously not getting to the bottom of it. Once you heard the CIA thing happen, ooh, everybody's hush hush now. We don't want to look into that anymore because it's gonna make us look bad. It's quite insane.
And this is also the reason why that, I think the US does such a poor job as being the, global, aggressor, right? I mean, so we push wars, unnecessary ones for the most part. I mean, like, we don't fight for things that matter anymore, I don't think. I mean, like, the wars that I have seen that happen in my tenure here in this country for the last 39 years, I don't think there was any one of them that had any, valid reason for us to go to war with. I mean, everything was either fabricated, it was based on a lie, or it was something else, and we were told a lie, or it was planned for years and executed at the right moment. Like you said, I mean, the crisis occurred. I mean, 9/11 was a classic example, right? So I mean, that's another attribute of a nationalistic society. I mean, they basically will you know give in to aggression because they feel that they have this posturing, right? So
Hmm.
they feel like, well, we got to fight with people and bomb somebody and show that we can flex our muscle, and we don't want to seem weak, right? So their strength comes from aggression. I mean, if you're patriotic, you don't have to. I mean, all the other countries where people are patriotic, I mean, they don't go around, bombing people and being acting like, like a bully around the world. They don't. Like,
Has
why
has
is it that we
I
are?
got a question. Has anybody looked at a bully and went, "Man, that guy's tough," or do you just see in somebody super insecure?
Yeah. And
That's
basically,
literally what a bully is. So don't.
exactly, yeah. I mean, so we are pretty much like the schoolyard bully, except, on a global scale.
Yeah.
And, everybody thinks that a bully is an asshole. I mean, that's it. Right? You don't, there's no other way to say it. Like, you probably won't say it to their face because you're afraid of getting punched, but, behind your back, that's what people are going to say. And
There's
that,
that guy
that's not a
again.
good place for us to be in. I mean, like, we have great
No.
things in this country. We have great resources. We have great people. I mean, why do we need all this other stuff? We don't. I mean, there is a good possibility that we can, solve these things. I mean, we need a truthful, transparent government to start, which we are not going. We have never not going to happen. It's never, in the past. I don't know, 30 years. I haven't seen any government uh,
Oh,
being transparent and truthful, which is what the problem is. So now people have to resort to these different types of ways to, identify themselves and put themselves out there. So this is who we are. And this is, I think, one of the reasons that that guy in that article stated why, Trump is the best for the American people because I mean, like, of his TV shows, I mean, everything. I mean, he was pretty much acting like a big bully.
yeah.
And the first
Well,
term we didn't see that. Now, we're seeing it. And I keep telling people, I mean, like I'm again saying this again. I've said this time and time again on this podcast. I am not saying that the president is worse than any other president or better or whatever. I mean, we're not saying that, and we have not saying. I'm not saying that he hasn't done anything either. I mean, he has done a lot. He's done several things that none of the other guys could do. He's a great mediator. But I think right now, the path we're heading towards is something totally different. And we've talked about this on this show, many times. So that leads me to, define a new term. I think, you may have seen this. I mean, there's the supranationalism. Have you ever heard of that? This is basically where more than one, so it's nationalism is one country acting that way. Supranationalism is when two or more countries get together and act the same way. So now we have to think
yeah.
about, is that happening? Are we seeing two countries joining forces, thinking that they're jointly the biggest, bully in the world? And I think you will agree with me that that's happening as well.
Yeah. I mean, I want to make a point that we talk about all of our allies and NATO and all this stuff, but people who are your friends are there because of fear and because you're bullied, those are never your friends. Those people will turn their
Right.
back on you in a heartbeat. I guarantee you, if we didn't shell out all the money we did to protect, Europe and everything, and that like they'd turn their if there was a sweeter deal for them, they would flip pretty quickly on America.
Yeah.
So there's that side, and I mean to your point on the supranationalism, which I didn't know it's not super nationalism, it's supra S
Oh,
U P R
supranationalism.
A
Yeah. There's a supranationalism. Yeah.
supranationalism. So, which yeah, is it's a system where multiple countries pretty much transfer some of their sovereignty to a higher authority.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're, especially if you look at some of the crazy social elite around the world that kind of doesn't have borders, that's kind of how they talk, is this kind of stuff. And I feel like we're seeing some stuff like that when it comes to, Israel and the U.S. and even which I never thought I would say this, but it's actually U.S. politicians selling out for Israel, a tiny country of
Yeah.
Israel's agenda, not the other way around. We're not having small countries, you know, bend the knee, so to speak, or give up their sovereignty to America. If I literally feels like we've been giving up our sovereignty for Israel in the name of really some religious dogma is how it comes across to me. But supranationalism is, I think, is one of those things that people aren't going to realize how big of a threat it is
Uh,
until it's starting to become too late.
yeah.
Because once it's really in people's faces, you're already have lost a lot. And you're kind of past the point of no return, at least to vote anything about it. A lot of that stuff once you get, and there's been simulations and talks about supranationalism for a long time now that once you get past that point, the only really way to get out of that is through civil war and
Yeah.
taking
Which
up
is not
arms.
going to
And
happen either, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure
not
that
in
that
America anyway.
no.
Americans are too lazy. We have it. That's the biggest downfall of America. We have it too good. Our lives are too
Uh,
good. Our lives are too comfortable. The amount of uncomfortable it would take to make Americans do something about it, it just won't happen. They've pretty much, and we saw this during COVID. They've done a very good job of pacifying American citizens. I mean, everyone wants to talk about, this isn't back during right before World War II, when they're like, oh, we could never invade America's mainland because there'd be a gun behind every blade of grass. Well, that might be the case, but Jim Bob, who just got done smashing McDonald's, isn't running across his yard for anything.
mhm.
So there's none of that's going on, and it's not
Yeah.
going to happen.
And I think
So,
they have like slowly over the years. I mean, like, COVID was one, and then there was the 2020, the election. I mean, like they've sort of tried it. I mean, like seeing how people respond to all these kinds of, things. And, the response has always been the same. It was nothing, right? And so now on the flip side, the government does nothing too. I mean, like, you have you ever seen anybody get charged or thrown in jail or even like a case against anybody who did, openly did things that were wrong during any of these, events? None. So they know that, they can get away with it. I mean, at this point in time, I think this is like a global scenario. I mean, they know that the people can be distracted, pacified, and fear-mongered, and then just, made to
mhm.
shut up. So that, so they are whatever that this whole point of this, small countries, big countries getting together and fighting towards this whole, great reset or whatever that they want to call it, it's gonna happen with people just, standing by and watching and doing nothing. I mean, you can see each step of the way, it's getting more and more difficult to get away from it. And pretty soon it'll be, I think from where I'm looking at it, digitizing your currency is like the thing that's going to cause
Oh,
the
that's bad.
prison term for everybody, right? I mean,
That
think
and
about
just
it.
AI in general. I mean, you
Yeah,
have thinking for you, doing everything for you. They're talking about
right.
AI robots, and I actually think we need to do an episode on what AI is, gonna already causing in the next generation, what it's gonna do economic wise, and even with relationships with. I mean, you
Hmm.
have apps now, AI and apps
Yeah,
f- filling in gaps for on relationship, and it's bad. I saw that 70% of chat GPT use now is used as a personal therapist.
that's sad.
Latest
I
studies.
mean,
Like,
humans need that social, emotional contact, right? I mean, like
hmm
we are social beings that need that connection. AI is, I don't know. I mean, maybe 20 years down the road. I mean, like, this is why I say, I cannot say it will never happen because, 50, 20 years ago, if you told me that my entire life would be on a phone, I would have laughed at you, right? I mean, this is where I was typing my dissertation on a computer that weighed as much as myself. So, things
Yeah, yeah.
can change rapidly, and I don't know if AI will reach that point or not. But what is even scarier is the control that we're giving entities who do not have the best interest of us at heart. Okay. And I think recently I saw somewhere, it was actually a independent Chinese reporter who I think I posted on my social media page, which is shadow banned. So if anybody wants to go in there, you can go and look at it. And he was talking about how in China, they were talking about digitizing the yen. So what that meant for them was basically nobody would have cash. All of their bank accounts at some government decided conversion rates would be, digital currency in a digital wallet, which would basically trap them inside their own borders. So like, I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
because you cannot go to a foreign country and say, oh, hey, I have digital yen. How much of that is in US dollars? There is no conversion for those currencies,
Right.
right? So you're going to be trapped. People won't be able to travel out, and everybody will be, and this is what part of that. I mean, when I read the UN Agenda 2030, I mean, travel was one of the things that they were going to curtail because of their idea that it was harming the planet or whatever the silly thing that they were thinking about. But that's where it was headed, right? And every country is talking about it. I mean, the US has been talking about digital currency for a while. I mean, like, even my
Hmm.
country, which is a third world, developing nation with very small, economy compared to us, are thinking about digitizing their currency. So, but for example, I will not be able to go back home unless I have digital, rupees, which I don't have, right? Because mine would be in digital
I mean,
dollars.
would you be you would almost be forced to have some type of precious metal, whether it be gold or silver or something, and be able to travel with that to then be able to exchange it for
Yeah,
some kind of digital
I
currency.
don't
Like
know. I mean,
you'd be forced to do something like that. I mean, I don't know how it would play out with that, but the fact that we're digitizing or talking about
everything, right?
virtually everything,
Yeah.
even to the point I saw that we were like somewhere like 10 years away. They're talking about being able to spend $15,000 on a fully robotic, lifelike, intimate partner,
I think that
a
already
robot.
exists. I mean, I have
It's
seen like,
some of them do
yeah,
exist, not to the extent where it's like fully like that, but it's like, this is that's like to me that's like pornography on steroids, Robbie. Because what's the big thing about pornography? Instant gratification, and you never get rejected.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
always
yeah,
there.
yeah.
You always get accepted. It's what you want.
Well,
So
hopefully they
you're gonna have a robot that essentially is will never turn you down, always do what you want, and you don't have to learn intimacy, connection, have
yeah.
hard, tough conversations. It sounds like uh, it sounds like a wonderful thing, but that's just going to, I mean, relationships and human connection is already like going down the toilet. That just like really wreck things for people. That's going to be really bad if that gets starts going all over the place.
Talk about a relationship that screams abuse, right? It's like, hey, at least you won't get yelled at it, right?
Well, I mean, that's probably going to be a selling point. It's like, oh, don't never get into an abusive relationship again. Just get a robot. They won't abuse you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Or you can, or hey, never, these abusers, they don't have to go to prison or something. Just watch, there's going to be government funded intimacy robots given to people who have a domestic abuse record just to be like, well, this will stop them from hurting people. Like,
Oh, they'll
it's,
find something. Yeah.
it sounds far fetched, but mark my words, it'll have something like that'll be said. It'll have something like that'll happen.
Yeah, yeah.
It's,
I don't
it's,
think at this point anything is far-fetched. I don't think anything is off the table here. I mean, like I don't think so this is the thing that scares me most. I don't think a lot of like we realize what is happening, behind the scenes and what
mhm.
is coming. There's no preparation for it. I mean, so the conspiracy minds will go to like imagining, so what can it be? Like how is it going to all play out? Uh, because you're going to be totally under the control of a system, which you will not. I mean, like right now we have these, so-called rights and privileges, and you can decline things, and like say, don't take my face photograph for a TSA agent at the airport and stuff like that. I mean, Americans still have that freedom, but how long is that going to be true? Once your movements are tracked, your spending is tracked, your everything is tracked, and you are controlled by your behaviors. This is what's
Mhm.
coming. I mean, this is and if anybody doesn't believe us, you can go online and check out what's going on in China. I mean, this has been happening there for many years
Well,
now.
well, look at what they're talking about with smart cities.
Yeah.
You want to look something like in our there's cities in our home state of Ohio here that's signed up to be smart
Hmm.
cities. Like it's
Yeah.
all going to be tried, and it reminds me of that older Tom Cruise movie, Minority Report, where you literally had people. It was based off your eyeballs. You walk into a store and it
Uh-huh.
would read your eyeballs and it would give you target ads in like malls and stuff. Hey, how is that gift that you got for your wife, a year ago? You should get this because we know everything about you. And you get on a subway and it scans your eyes and it marks where
Uh-huh.
you're like people. That was like supposed to be like, sci-fi stuff, and now we're talking about chips and all this and smart cities and everything. Like this stuff was never meant to. I personally think stuff like these movies were never meant to be sci-fi. It was to get people used to
Well, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
idea that
yeah.
this might be a good idea, and that's one
Uh-huh.
of the things of Hollywood. I think it's one of the dark intentions of Hollywood was to get people used to this so it's not a shock to the system, and then
Uh-huh.
even some things, ooh, this could be cool.
Yeah. And that's the saddest part of it all. I mean, like if you go in, I mean, like the younger generations of even the people in China, right? I mean, they actually embrace it. I mean, they're like, well, we're not going to do anything wrong, so we don't care if the government controls us. I mean, that's the attitude they're going to eventually impress upon the people here as well, right? So if you're
Mhm.
not doing anything wrong, then you don't have to worry about it. But that's not the problem. If anybody understands, what's going on, it's that you don't have the freedom to do anything that in fact, now, I mean, I just saw recently that in Japan they have a system where they actually analyze your smile before you come to work. So if you're not happy, then that you're not allowed to come into work. And that AI program software can actually analyze if you're faking your smile or not either. So they can even I mean, think about that. They can force you to be happy. Right? So I mean, like, do you think people are going to like say, "Oh, that's a bad thing"? I doubt it. I mean, there are people who probably will say, "Oh, that's a great idea," because I don't mind being happy. I just don't know how to make myself happy because I don't have the tools to do it. And we talked
Yeah,
about this in our episode last week about emotional intelligence, right? I mean, that goes right into that.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna lose this battle. Uh, that's
And
as
that's not a country thing. That's just a global. That's
yeah.
the human race thing where society's going. Period. And that's not a religion,
No.
cultural
Mm-mm.
thing. That's just where humanity's heading. But I think we could do a whole episode on
Yeah.
on this stuff alone. So we'll have to talk about it more in the future. But well, we're about out of time here for this week. So I appreciate everybody tuning in, and we will catch everybody on the next episode.
Take care, guys.